One thing you might not know about northeastern Iowa is that compared to other states in the Midwest, it actually has quite a variety of terrain. And the reason for this is interesting. The glaciers never actually passed through the area. The 8-inch Denier high grounds with 1,000 grams of insulation have been my choice for late fall and winter hunting, and in this video I'll be going in depth into the specifications of this boot and explaining why it's been my choice considering the unique situation I have in eastern Iowa. Working our way up from the bottom of the boot, we can see straight away that this is a platform taken from a hiking style of boot. It's an athletic and single-pieced rubber outsole, and as you can see, it's attached through a glue construction to an EVA midsole. I'll be getting in depth into what this means. On the one hand, it means that it's an extremely lightweight midsole. On the other hand, it means that this is not a boot that's easily going to be recraftable. With this style of boot, I think you're mostly looking for weight considerations, protecting your foot, and comfort. In addition to having these boots be my primary winter boots, they also served as my boots for deer season and turkey season this winter and fall. And the thing is that I was walking through literally hundreds of acres of fields and forests, and often going down fairly steep ravines and having to crawl my way back out. And so weight was very important. Now, the construction on these Denier high grounds, again, is an athletic build. That is to say that it's essentially the basic format that you'd find in, for example, running shoes or athletic shoes. You've got a rubber outer and then this EVA midsole, and that's the most important and most significant aspect of the boot. It's essentially a sandwich construction that's held together by glue. The advantage, of course, is that it's very lightweight this way. Obviously, this is a plastic polymer porous material, and it has a lot of inherent cushioning, and that's also going to be important over long distances. And the advantage of it is that it's going to be able to hold up equally in a variety of weathers and conditions. The disadvantage of it is that once it compresses, it's not really able to be repaired. In some sense, then these boots are disposable because they're not able to be recrafted. Now, of course, most people looking at these kind of hunting boots or hiking boots are going to accept that straight away. And I'm belaboring the point just because there is always the alternative of heritage footwear, which I have reviewed and give commentary on a number of times on my channel. Now, the advantage of these modern style of boots in the Deniers is that not only do you get a more comfortable lower straight away, you're also getting some advantages in the technology that's employed in the upper, and so let's get into that. There are a couple noteworthy things if we take a look inside the Denier high grounds. First of all, you'll notice a quilted tricot lining, which is a durable and nice material, I think. You'll also notice that it has an interesting style of last. This is called a strobel last, which shows that there is stitching around the center. This is a very common way of constructing these boots. Basically, a thin sheet of EVA is glued to the midsole, and then the upper is stitched to that material. One of the things I like about these boots is how the banners of the various technical selling points are tastefully and discreetly integrated in the boot. So you do have quite a bit of insulation in this particular model. I opted for the full 1,000 grams of Thinsulate Ultra because it is very cold here. Gore-Tex, of course, is old technology. It's a breathable, waterproof membrane, and it's also very flexible. It holds up very well. You can see here that these boots have foam cushioning underneath the Denier and leather material of the upper. Interestingly, Denier is not a name of proprietary technology like Gore-Tex or Thinsulate, but just a unit of measurement of weight of the nylon fabric that's used for the uppers. 900 weight Denier is, relatively speaking, a robust and heavy Denier weight. Nubuck is actually not the highest grade of leather. It isn't even a full grain leather, but it is a decent quality. And on this model, it was thick and came heavily waxed. You can see here we also have a fully gusseted tongue. That's very important for keeping debris out and also assuring consistent waterproofness. Here we have the interesting lacing system. And the forefoot of the boot is a very interesting ghillie system, which is basically using loops of cloth, nylon I presume, to ensure a snug fit. Yet we have speed hooks on the ankle portion of the lacing system, presumably because they're not only for speed, but also because of high stress, you're going to need something more robust. I want to show you a little bit more closely the condition of the leather after wearing these boots for easily 20 or 30 miles. As you can see, they have taken quite a beating, and the nubuck leather, which is a thick and decent quality, nevertheless is showing a number of places where it's cut and torn. I wish that they would have gone with a higher grade of leather here, and this is one thing about getting an imported set of Deniers versus a USA made one. You're probably not getting as high of a quality of leather, and as a leather snob, that is something that I think is noteworthy for sure. These things all said, it is pretty obvious that the leather here is having more of a functional role here of just being an additional layer of protection against debris and moisture, and however beat up they get, good conditioning and waxing will keep them from getting destroyed. You'll notice here that the toe cap on the boot is not really particularly prominent, and it is glued on. There's no evidence of it separating, but that is another thing that you'll frequently see in this style of construction. How would I summarize or bring together my thoughts about these boots? Well, they're a pair of modern hunting boots, and as a pair of modern hunting boots, they're kind of bringing together a number of technologies and features that hunters are demanding and are extremely useful in the field, and yet as a result of accepting all of those technical requirements, there are certain limitations to the boots. So on the one hand, these are very lightweight, they have a great level of warmth and dryness for the weight, actually, compared to say a pair of traditional leather boots that you'd have a full leather upper and then a layer of insulation and then maybe another layer of the inside of the upper. They're very lightweight compared to that. The disadvantage of that is that it's all essentially disposable materials. Eventually the foam is going to break down underneath the denier uppers, and you're not going to have the same kind of structure in place for support. The ghillie system, on the one hand, assures a snug fit and a consistent pull when you're tightening up the laces, but on the other hand, of course, being a cloth material, even if it's reinforced with plastic or wax, it's going to be more prone to tear or break down. My experience of the leather outsole is that it provides a decent balance of traction and mobility. These aren't going to get bogged down in mud, but in a very snowy situation or a situation where you're going to be climbing some rocks, they're definitely going to give you that extra little bit that's going to make a difference. A couple things to notice in this shot. First of all, the pull-up strap for the back of the boot is just dismally small. It doesn't even work with a pair of gloves, so that's one design failure in my opinion, and an otherwise fairly conservatively designed, if modern, pair of boots. But I think most hunters are buying this boot for the key technical specifications of Gore-Tex and Thinsulate, and these are trustworthy and name brand features that I think will prove themselves to be reliable. So in short, the advantages of these boots are the great weight, the solid specs, and a very reasonable price. The disadvantages are the fact they're imported, the fact that the athletic style of construction means they won't be boots to keep for a long time, and they are not recraftable. These disadvantages aside, this is a very nicely made boot considering its type of construction, and it has a feature set that hunters are going to look for, and it's built in a package that's lightweight and is going to be extremely easy to break in, at least it was for me. There are tons of alternatives for this style of hunting boot, but few are going to have the reliable brand, the solid design, and the well-executed construction as the Denier high grounds. Do me a favor and let me know in the comments below if this video was helpful in your hunt for a good pair of hunting boots. Make sure to check out some of these other vids if you're interested, and please consider subscribing. Thanks a lot.